On the subject of nobody asked, but I'm going to tell you anyway. Today we're talking about my operating system of choice, namely Linux, and why it has been my daily driver since early 2019, which makes it almost 5 years now that I've done everything I do on a computer on Linux. Welcome to 1000 Words. My name is Radu. I'm a street photographer from Romania and I make videos like this on the YouTubes. If you find this content enjoyable, please don't hesitate to like, because that means a lot for the growth of the channel. Subscribe to be notified of future uploads. There's a buy me a coffee and a PayPal link down below if you're feeling so inclined. Make a donation if you're of the generous variety. But if not, I'll be very happy with your likes. Also, comment down below. I read all of your comments. I do enjoy getting them. And yeah, this is tea. This is black tea, vanilla flavored. Really, really tasty. And today we're talking about, I think it's 5 reasons. Let me check my notes. Yeah, notes. Life hack for you. Never remember anything, write it down. 5 reasons why I use Linux. And be warned, this video is really basically not at all about photography and gear and cameras. So back in 2019, early 2019, I was kind of trying to learn Blender, and I had this idea to test if it ran better on Linux. Back then I had a really much crappier laptop than I do now, and I wanted to squeeze as much power as I could from that. So I gave Linux a try. I only ever heard about it as hacker OS, and pretty wide-eyed and naively, I threw myself into it without basically knowing anything about it. Long story short, after a few months of distro hopping, make that years, because the first couple of years I distro hopped like pretty much everyone does when using Linux. I eventually settled on Arch Linux. It's been almost 5 years since I've been using Linux as a daily driver exclusively. I don't dual boot. I just use Linux on bare metal. That is to say, it's installed on the actual hardware of my machine, and I use just that for everything I do. And that is quite a bit, to be quite frank, because I'm what you might call a power user. On the one hand, my laptop is of the Optimus variety, which is to say it has both an integrated Intel GPU and a dedicated NVIDIA GPU, and that used to be notoriously finicky to set up right on Linux. Not so much anymore. It's basically a breeze. You just install drivers and it works. On top of that, I do my photo processing and photo editing on the same machine, on the same OS. On top of that, I run a YouTube channel and edit all these videos. On top of that, I capture desktop footage for stuff I might need to show on the computer, like B-roll you're going to see in this very video. On top of that, less so now, but I used to be quite a bit of a gamer. I did enjoy gaming a lot. I'm finding very little time to get my game on recently, especially since my daughter was born, but I still enjoy gaming, so I need my laptop to be capable doing all these things. I'm what you might call a power user, and my requirements and needs from an OS are substantial and specific. I need it to work well under all these conditions. I need it to be versatile. I need it to be capable. I need it to get out of my way and let me do my work. Now, a case can be made for the stupidly low prices Windows can be had for these days. I myself bought a Windows 11 license recently for what now, like 4 or 5 euros, maybe not even that. And before you start asking, it was just for testing stuff under virtual machines, and because I had a really short stint where I thought I would go back to Windows. But that is besides the point of this video. Windows can be had for really cheap. It can also be had for free if you want to go the R-matey piracy route, but that is neither here nor there. The discussion comes to the actual software I use day to day. A few examples. Now, the way I approach downloading images off of my SD cards is not merely copy-pasting the files from the card to the computer, because I have developed a very specific workflow where I need my files to be renamed in a certain way. I need my files to be stored in a very specific structure, like year, month, day. Then when downloading the JPEGs, I need them to go in a different folder altogether because I keep my RAWs and my Fuji JPEGs separate, and I need them to go in a different folder altogether, renamed with the added suffix of SOC. And all that is achieved automatically with Rapid Photo Downloader, a free software available under Linux. I just set it up once, give it the parameters I need to give it so that it can create the folder structure I need, rename the files like I need them. So it just does this automagically. I would be able to do this on Windows as well, but the software that does, well, the only one I found, I'm not saying it's the only one out there, but the only one I found is about $50. It's a one-time purchase, but it's $50 I need to spend rather than not if I'm using the Rapid Photo Downloader software I mentioned earlier. Then there's photo processing software. Well, the stuff I use on Linux, which is free, because most stuff under Linux is free, and that is RawTherapee specifically. It's also available for Windows and Mac, by the way. From the very limited testing I did with RawTherapee under Windows, it neither looks as good nor does it work as good as it does on Linux. So that would leave me with paid alternatives. It's either DxO Photolab, which is the cheapest and the fairest license. Then there's the monthly subscription type stuff like Adobe or Capture One. And I would rather spend this money on lenses or my family, or frankly, I would rather spend this money on beer and going out and having experiences and living life, because software doesn't necessarily have to cost money to be able to perform. Linux is free, and everything that runs under it is basically free as well. Linux is free also differently, as in freedom, as in privacy, as in not having any telemetry, as in having the ability to choose for yourself what goes in it, because it it can be as bare bones and as bloated as you want it to be. I'm the sort of person that really likes to run things as vanilla as possible. So I don't want to have stuff on my system that I don't need or use, and especially stuff that is installed behind my back without me even knowing. So that is really one of the strong suits of Linux. It's really customizable, and I'm not even going to go into the whole theming and visual customization side of things, because that's a whole different subject. And as I said, I like to keep things as vanilla as I can, but I do enjoy customizing it as far as not installing stuff I don't need. I just install the essentials. I like knowing that my system is clean, that everything that is there is because I specifically chose it to be there, and it's something I need and use. There's no telemetry, there's no phoning back, there's no ads, there's no processes that run in the back and just eat up CPU cycles. It's just lean, efficient, streamlined, and all that gives me a sense of freedom, a sense of ease. It's really great just having stuff that gets out of your way and lets you do work or fun and play. It's freeing in that way as well. Now, seeing how I'm a very visually oriented person, seeing how I'm also a bit of an artist, if I may, and also touching upon my slight OCD, I really appreciate the aesthetics of Linux with GNOME, because it's the desktop environment of choice. Now, there's a very decided and clear, consistent cohesion to stuff under GNOME, and that really means a lot to me. It gives me comfort, because all apps, all dialogues, all windows, and even apps that are not necessarily proprietary to the GNOME DE all look the same. They all fit together, they all look like they belong. Even stuff like, let's say, even DaVinci Resolve, which is a proprietary software. Once you put a gray background on it, it really looks like it's from there. It really looks like it belongs. Or take the, what is it? I think it's called Polychromatic. It's an application that handles Razer peripherals, their RGB side of things. All like it's from there. Everything gels together nicely. It really looks and behaves like it's consistent. Even apps that are not GDK, like Qt apps, they're very easy. With the right themes, they all look like they belong together. And I really very much appreciate that. This level of consistency across apps, dialogues, windows, browsers, settings, drop-downs, everything is something that's present only in Mac OS. Windows is really behind. Now, these pain points have been substantially alleviated recently, but it's still nowhere near where it should be, and certainly not comparable to Linux. I'll grant you, I'm a bit of a nerd that way. Most people will not find any of this fun, but I do, and the child in me really enjoys using Linux. I love using the command line terminal. I love updating my software via commands. I like tinkering with stuff, editing text files and configuration files. I even like troubleshooting and fixing it on the very rare occasion it breaks. And really need to stress rare, because I've run the same installation since months ago and it has worked like a champ. It's really something I enjoy using, even on the very rare occasion that it does break. The feeling I have when I end up figuring shit out and solving a problem I'm having is really great. It makes me feel, on the one hand, like I've achieved something. It makes me feel like I've learned something. And on the other hand, it makes me feel like I own my machine. It makes me feel like I have a say in it. Because when using Windows, you don't have the same feeling. It's packaged in such a way that, it does mostly work out of the box. It's perfectly fine if you vibe that way and you just want to set it and forget it. And in a lot of ways, Linux also does work like that. I've been using the same installation for months now, and it's just been working great with no issues at all. But I do want to know that I have the option to go into configuration files and edit everything and have everything the way I want. I like the feeling of achievement I get when something does break and I am able to fix it, or when I'm able to make stuff do something that it's not supposed to, or just the fact that I'm able to run most Windows games under Linux using Proton. It gives me a sense of joy and pride, and it really is pleasant. I find it very enjoyable to use. Linux is fast, it's snappy and quick, it's well optimized, it makes great use of available resources, both hardware and software. It's understated and reasonable, there is no bloat, there is no bullshit, just the essentials, stuff you chose specifically to install on your system. It practically never freezes, never hangs, never blue screens, never slows down. It's rock solid, it's stable, versatile, and reliable. It's practically unbreakable. And I'm using Arch Linux, which again is notoriously easy to break even when taking uploads, but that has not been my experience. It only once or twice ever broke in years, and usually it's my fault. You practically have to really go out of your way and mess with stuff you really shouldn't in order to break it. If you just use it, it's solid. No wonder it's used for practically 90% of web servers out there. It's a fantastic piece of software, and I really love practically everything about it. So in a nutshell, these are the 5 reasons why I enjoy using Linux, why I have been using it as a daily driver operating system for coming on to 5 years now. And for the same reasons, I'll probably be using Linux for another 5 years. That has been basically all for today. A video for the nerds out there. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this, although it has practically zero stuff to do with, or very little stuff to do with actual photography, but it's something important to me and my workflow. It's something that it's a video I wanted to make for a long while now, and here it goes. I have been Radu. This has been 1,000 words. Hope you enjoyed it. Comment down below. I really do read all your comments and tremendously enjoy getting them. Like the video, that really helps out a lot. Subscribe to the channel. If you're feeling generous, there's a buy me a coffee and a PayPal link down below. Send a buck or two down by way. I promise to have beer. Until next time, farewell.